Right now, a painful reckoning with the shocking sexual abuse allegations against Cesar Chavez. Should the legacy of an iconic Latino labor and civil rights leader be erased?
Also on Sunday Square Off, what you need to know about an election affecting water and electric bills for more than 1 million homes and businesses. Meet the candidate challenging Democratic Congressman Greg Stanton from the left.
We don't want to erase history, but we need to interpret it appropriately, and we have to be very careful about how we celebrate and who we celebrate.
That was Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego telling me why the City Council will begin the process of renaming sites and buildings that carry the name of Cesar Chavez. Here's what happens next. The Phoenix City Council meets Wednesday to start discussions on Chavez place names. The Cesar Chavez Boulevard sign on Baseline Road is expected to come down first. The same day, the Republican-controlled legislature will move legislation to repeal a state law recognizing Cesar Chavez Day. It is not a legal holiday. And on Thursday, the Phoenix Union High School District Board will consider whether to change the name of Cesar Chavez High School in Levine. A lot going on. Joining me are Elvia Diaz, former Arizona Republic editorial page editor and columnist, now Substacker at Notas con Elvia Diaz, and Zarco Guerrero, an artist who sculpted 2 Cesar Chavez statues in Arizona. One of them is the centerpiece of an art installation in Levine celebrating Chavez's life and the farm workers movement. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We have a lot to cover. I want to start, Elvia, with you. Let's turn back the clock 5-10 years. What did Cesar Chavez represent to you?
My goodness, Cesar Chavez devoted his life to improve the working conditions of farm workers, a family like mine. And in doing so, he became a symbol of labor, of unions, but also became a sort of a father figure for Chicanos, for Mexican Americans. And he became our civil rights leader, unquestionably. And now we're facing this reckoning, as you mentioned at the beginning.
And Zarco, what about you? What did he represent to you?
He represented a positive role model. As a young man, he was not only my role model, but my whole generation of someone who was just like us, dark-complected, short, indigenous, eloquent in English and Spanish, who was standing up to the most powerful forces in the country, the ranchers, the owners of the fields. So when we saw Cesar Chavez first on TV and in the media, it was like, wow, that was the first example of someone who wasn't, someone like us, who wasn't be portrayed as a gardener, a drug dealer, a pimp, all of those things. So that's what we wanted to emulate. We wanted to be someone like Cesar Chavez, and we followed his example up until now, for over 50 years.
Up until now, for over 50 years. Yeah. He's been dead now almost
30 years, yeah.
30 years. When you heard the news this past week, how did it hit you?
It knocked the breath out of me. It broke my heart, and I've been in a state of confusion this whole time, as well as my family and all the friends, the whole community. We're all distraught at this point.
Distraught. Elvia?
Yeah, same. I will say, you know, I felt a gut punch and just this sickening allegations that you cannot excuse, but at the same time trying to reconcile that what Zarco was saying, the figure that Cesar Chavez played in our lives. And those are tangible things that we looked towards, and we saw him as a role model, absolutely. So to erase that overnight, so just like Zarco, I'm still processing that information and what it means. I'm also shocked about how the swiftness of what everything is happening and how quickly we are willing to erase his name and erase his legacy. I understand, the events, and I understand why they are canceling or renaming many of those events, but to erase the legacy, I'm not so sure.
Why do you think it's happening so fast?
I'm not sure. I want to hear from Zarco. I think it's political convenience.
Zarco, what do you think? Why do you think?
Well,
this is
yeah,
happening
it
so
seems
fast?
to come at a convenient time for those who are against the legacy of Cesar Chavez, and it seems to fall in line with all the anti-Mexican, all the anti-people of color legislation that's going on all around the country. It seems just it's like one more thing that can be done to hurt this movement, to erase not only his legacy, but the legacy of the Chicano movement that Ronald Reagan started to erase that by calling us Hispanics, therefore negating our Chicano identity and our legacy. Without an identity, we're lost.
So I want to help us understand exactly what you're saying, because a lot of people are saying, hang on, look at the allegations.
Right.
What else do you think we should do? So what else? It sounds like you accept the allegations.
Well, at this point, I don't think we have any choice. Whether you accept it or not, we're dealing with the consequences.
And so what should those consequences be?
Well, I think what we need to do is keep the history of the movement of the farm workers, of social justice, of nonviolence, and of service to others. Those are the lessons of Cesar Chavez that we adhered to and we continued to emulate as artists and activists. Like I say, it's been 50 years that I've been involved, and like many other people of my generation, is a big part of our history.
I visited your art installation this past week in Cesar Chavez Park. Let's roll some video of it. There's a statue of Cesar Chavez. At the base of it, it says "Si se puede." We're going to show some video of the installation in just a minute here. And it's not just a statue. This is a full-blown art exhibit. There you're looking at one of the panels among several panels displaying the movement. Talk about how this came about and what it meant to you at the time when you worked on this.
Well, it came about from some members of the city council who had this idea that it was time to create a monument to Cesar Chavez to keep his legacy alive.
This was shortly after his death as well.
Yeah, shortly after his death. And personally, I made a commitment when I got the news about Cesar Chavez that I was going to dedicate a big part of my artwork to the memory of Cesar Chavez. And that was a result. So it was the whole community coming together. There was no controversy at that time. And there was enough funding to create not only a statue of Cesar Chavez, but like you say, a whole plaza that introduced people to the history of the farm workers.
And so I mentioned this to Mayor Kate Gallego when I spoke to her this past week, because this isn't just a name on a building. This is, as you said, this is a large installation. And she said, we're going to have to talk to the artists, to the community, and this is going to be a difficult conversation. If you were talking to the mayor right now, what would you tell her that you want to happen to this?
Well, it's bound to come down. I mean, there's a whole movement nationally right now to take down the monument to Cesar and to change the name. If that's the case, what I'd like to do is propose that we take the bronze that was put into this sculpture that is a lot of material, and to create something new to go into that public space, into that park that means so much to so many people in Laveen and all over. And I think if we take it down, we're erasing it. But if we replace it with another positive image, whether it be a male or female or historical figure, that's going to be the hard part. Who and what do we put in its place? And
that seems to be part of the debate right now, the who and the what. And what I hear is, okay, Cesar Chavez needs to be taken out of the picture, but the movement he championed should remain, should remain in the picture. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. It's going to be a difficult conversation, and it's going to be very difficult to keep Cesar Chavez in buildings. And I agree with you that it has to come down, but that the difficult discussion is, as you mentioned, who and why. So yes, it's about the movement, but the movement always needs someone, a champion, and he happened to be that one. I hear the name Dolores Huerta as well. She's one of the accusers, and she is revealing revered, but I have so many questions about her still that I'm still processing. She was part of the movement from the very beginning. I have no doubt in my mind that those allegations are true from her and from other women, but I do have serious questions about what was her role in all this. And this is not about doubting
A role in
women.
perhaps safeguarding
Right.
Carlos Chavez.
Right. And so I just have too many questions. So I know a lot of people are jumping into that conclusion that it should be her. So I agree with you, Zarco. We still should not be deciding right now who or what.
You and I talked before the show about the generational issue. You know, Cesar Chavez died 30 years ago. He was a towering figure in the 60s and 70s and into
80s, right.
into the 80s. There are a lot of people for whom his name doesn't mean much. How do you explain this? I mean, what did you hear from your family, and how do you explain this to another generation that may not even know?
My siblings who benefited from Cesar Chavez's work, you know, because some of them are farm workers, have not even talked to me about it.
They can't talk?
I mean, I haven't raised the issue, and I'm waiting to see if they're going to do it. My daughter and her friends, who are obviously in their early 30s, they are very quick to dismiss Cesar Chavez and dismiss the movement. And what I tell them is that that's part of the work that had been done before them, to have the privilege of saying, well, you know, let's quickly get rid of him and get rid of the movement. So a huge generational divide.
All right, and that discussion will continue for quite a while, it seems.
right.
Elvia Diaz, Zarco Guerrero, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.